Hello dear viewers, welcome to this video on astrology where I'll be talking about Ketu Dev. According to Vedic astrology, Ketu is an invisible but extremely powerful planet. It is not a visible planet, yet its impact can bring major ups and downs in life. If we understand Ketu deeply, there is no doubt it opens the door to inner awareness and spiritual awakening. So now the question arises, how did Ketu originate? And why is Ketu considered a planet of liberation? Now let's talk about the origin of Ketu. There is a mythological perspective here. Ketu's origin is directly linked with the event of Samudra Manthan, which is also called churning of the ocean. The Samudra Manthan, when gods and demons churned the ocean to obtain Amrit, which is the nectar of immortality. When the nectar appeared, a huge dispute broke out over who would get to drink it. At that moment, Lord Vishnu took the form of Mohini to distribute the Amrit among the Devatas. But a clever and cunning demon, whom we now know as Rahu, disguised himself as a god and drank the nectar. As soon as Lord Vishnu noticed the trick, he used his Sudarshan Chakra to sever the demon's head. But by then the demon had already consumed the nectar, so both his head and body became immortal. From that moment, the head part was named as Rahu, and the headless body part was called Ketu. That is how the existence of Ketu began. In Vedic astrology, Ketu is regarded as a symbol of invisible power, mental enlightenment, and spiritual liberation. To know about Ketu's nature and planetary dynamics, Ketu is associated with the sign Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter. That's why Ketu carries Jupiter qualities of protection, spirituality, and wisdom. Now, Ketu rules three nakshatras, Ashwini, Magha, and Mula. All these nakshatras are linked with the beginning, endings, and rebirth, which reflects Ketu's role in closing life cycles. Ketu is considered gender neutral and its nature is tamasic, intensely reactive, or lethargic in nature. Now, it is particularly associated with the lower parts of the feet, the area under the soles. Ketus get exalted in Aries zodiac and is debilitated in the Scorpio, which is the 8th zodiac, and of course, 8th part of the birth chart. But one thing to keep in mind, Ketu's results are never constant. Its outcomes can change depending on aspects from other planets, the conjunction, or planetary periods, which is called dasas as well. Now, talking about Ketu's friendly or hostile planets, Ketu considers Jupiter as a friend, the only planet which is a friend to Ketu. So if there is a strong connection with Jupiter, Ketu can give very positive results. But its relationship with the sun and moon is considered hostile. Even eclipses represent these relationships. So if Ketu is conjunct with sun or moon in the same house, it can disturb a person's self-awareness or emotional stability. Ketu is always placed in 180 degrees, exactly 7 houses opposite to Rahu. Ketu's planetary period, if we talk about dashas, it's lasts till 7 years. Now, talking about the practical effects of Ketu in a person's life, which is depends on Ketu's placement, aspect, or conjunction, the effects may appear such as having scary dreams, shocks or sorrow related to sudden accidents or even deaths, as well as surgeries, skin-related problems, sudden gain of wealth, benefits from the children or the spouse. Sometimes the effect may be feeling distanced or emotionally disconnected from relatives. Sometimes being drawn towards isolation, spiritual practices, or an unusual lifestyle. Ketu's influence is not always negative. If Ketu is conjunct with benefic planets or connected to the ascendant lord or even the fifth lord, the person may gain supernatural intelligence, spiritual interest, or the ability to do deep research. Ketu can detach us from the outer world and turn our attention inward, and this is exactly why it is called the planet of liberation, which is also called moksha. Ketu specially symbolizes detachment, silence, a solitary lifestyle, freedom from the material cravings, and the search for mental peace. It often leads a person to prefer solitude, practice meditation, and walk the path of serious spiritual pursuit. When Ketu is strongly placed, especially in the 12th house of a chart, its effect is considered even more positive. There it awakens self-realization, control over senses, and a desire to attain liberation. It's a planet that takes away worldly attachments and leads one towards inner purity. Talking about general meanings and the characteristics of Ketu, Ketu mainly helps us detach from worldly attraction and walk the spiritual path. as we already know by now. It inspired practices like worship, meditation, vows of silence, and spiritual discipline. As a result, the person often becomes quiet, reserved, and drawn towards secret or mystical subjects. Now, let's go into knowing few symbols of Ketu. The symbols related to Ketu includes flags, smoke, shadows, torn or any scattered items. All these symbols shows that Ketu's effects are often unclear, unexpected, and bring sudden changes in life. Ketu is depicted as the tail of a serpent, which means Ketu brings unresolved karmas, unfinished lessons, and incomplete experiences from the past lives into this life to find resolution. That's why when Ketu is strong in a birth chart, one begins to feel a natural detachment from the world, a deep sense of renunciation, and a desire for spiritual freedom. In some people's lives, Ketu brings sudden breakups, loss of interest in material possessions, or a strong desire to break free from the outer attractions. These are all signs of Ketu's influence. On a psychological level, Ketu naturally makes a person introverted, secretive, and interested in subtle or hidden topics. In some cases, this excessive detachment can also cause anxiety, loneliness, or emotional dullness. But through the same path, one can enter the journey of spiritual awakening. In terms of the zodiac signs, Ketu gives particularly good results in number 9, which is Sagittarius, and number 12, the Pisces, as these signs are naturally inclined towards spirituality, philosophy, and religious interests. After the zodiac, let's know about Ketu's influence by houses. Ketu generally gives good result in the 3rd house, 6th house, 9th house, and 12th houses. Apart from that, the 1st house, 2nd house, 4th house, 5th house, 7th house, 8th house, 10th, or 11th houses, it can bring certain challenges such as identity issues, family misunderstandings, stress in child-related matters or marital relationships, or even social disconnection. Let's talk about the profession for Ketu. People influenced by Ketu are often drawn towards professions like spiritual teachers, monks, astrologers, researchers, doctors, surgeons, or social service workers. What about social inspiration? Ketu inspires people to engage in services at, let's say, old age homes, orphanages, ashrams, temples, or to help the marginalized. It also leads people towards charity and practices like vows of silence. Now, talking about the physical effects. Physically, Ketu is associated with the issues related to the spine, legs, and chronic illnesses. It can sometimes bring complicated or unclear health conditions, especially related to the urinary system or the need for surgical procedures. Ketu's day is Saturday. Its ruling deity is Bhairava, a fierce form of Lord Shiva. Worshipping Bhairava is believed to help neutralize Ketu's negative effects. Now let's talk about few conjunctions. Let's talk about Jupiter and Ketu first. The combination of Jupiter and Ketu is considered extremely auspicious. Ketu, just like Jupiter, is also a planet of teaching and wisdom. When these two comes together, Ketu becomes an active channel to spread Jupiter's knowledge among the masses. In short, if Jupiter is the knowledge, Ketu becomes the medium to distribute that knowledge. For example, when Jupiter and Ketu are in a positive union in someone's chart, that person often becomes a spiritual guru, guide to society, deep thinker, or a teacher of life philosophy. Now let's talk about Sun and Ketu conjunction. The Sun represents soul, ego, and personal pride. So when it combines with Ketu, this pairing can bring a tendency towards self-destructive behavior. There may be an inner conflict between confidence and surrender. Such individuals must always be mindful of their self-control, confidence, and decision-making. Now let's talk about Moon and Ketu conjunction. The Moon governs emotions, mind, memory, and sensitivity. When the Moon and Ketu come together, it can lead to emotional instability, mental restlessness, introversion, or self-centered thinking. Sometimes, even if such individuals appear fine on the outside, they may be suffering from the inner psychological stress or emotional conflicts. Let's know about Venus and Ketu conjunction. Venus relates to pleasure, relationships, love, and beauty. When combined with Ketu, there may be detachment from the physical pleasure, emotional dryness, or a pessimistic view of relationships. That means Ketu cuts down the positive effects of Venus in many cases. Now, these individuals may approach relationship with an overly spiritual or serious mindset, which could lead to distance or dissatisfaction in love life. Okay, about Mars and Ketu conjunction. Mars signifies courage, action, and the inner strength. When combined with Ketu, the person may become brave, fearless, and extremely determined. Such people often have a powerful lion-like personality. However, if this combination is negative, the person may become impulsive, aggressive, and argumentative. Sometimes they may be prone to unnecessary conflict through anger as well as risky behavior. Now, let's move into Mercury and Ketu conjunction. Mercury is the planet of intelligence, speech, calculations, communications, analysis, business. If Mercury is benefic, Ketu enhances sharp intellect, research ability, and brings deep analytical thinking. But if Mercury is malefic, this union can create confusion, indecisiveness, and mental instability. For example, Mercury is often seen as a prince who leads using his intelligence. But Ketu sometimes brings a sense of renunciation or surrender in that prince, which can make the person leave the throne and choose the path of spirituality. Now let's move into Saturn and Ketu conjunction. Saturn is the planets of karma, patience, trials, and time. When Saturn and Ketu combine, it can bring serious hardships, long periods of struggle, and deep self-examination. But if the person overcomes these challenges, they develop remarkable endurance, maturity, and spiritual growth. Such individuals can become role models for the society. Ketu's influence is generally strong until the age of 48, start from 24 years of age till 48. During this period, a person may go through major shifts in decision making, self-awareness, focus, and life direction.